another episode of my video blog, episode 2. Since I talked to you last, we've been in Washington, D.C. for the Craft Brewers Conference. I'll touch on a recap of that, what we experienced, what we enjoyed, what we took from the event. I also want to talk to you about a book I read, what drew me to the book, and I also want to kind of touch on some news that went down this week in North Carolina. I was just recently reading an article talking about HB 500 in North Carolina. This would essentially allow the growth of self-distribution rights in North Carolina. There are options for self-distribution rights in North Carolina at this time. However, there's a ceiling of 25,000 barrels. It forces them to choose between expanding production or controlling their own distribution, and the contention is they shouldn't have to. Raising the limit, they were saying, should be relatively easy, but it's part of a larger bill reforming ABC law, which can be quite difficult, as many people in states that don't have self-distribution rights may already know. So essentially what the bill wanted to do was lift that ceiling from 25,000 barrels up to 200,000 barrels in North Carolina. The article that I was reading, it was by News and Record by Scott Hoffman, I believe. Yeah, so in this article it said basically the largest craft brewery in North Carolina is Highland and Asheville. Of course, we know that there are other bigger breweries in North Carolina, specifically Asheville, but don't maintain a specific maintain a main location there. It's a secondary location for New Belgium and Sierra Nevada. But it would have raised from 25,000 to what they say a hefty 200,000 barrels. This would have been all allowed to be self-distributed. So essentially now you can produce up to 25, or you can self-distribute up to 25,000 barrels. After the 25,000 barrels, you would have to get a third-party distributor. Like I said, in some of these states where we don't have self-distribution rights, battling this is a lot more difficult than it may seem. You can think in terms of how well that would help the craft community of the state, how it would help people grow their businesses, hiring, providing jobs of all levels. It would help increase jobs in the brewery. It's also going to help, people. I mean, it takes time to distribute. It takes a lot of people to distribute. So, getting up to 200,000 barrels, it would really push some of these breweries to maybe grow, reinvest more into their cities, more into the areas that they live, and really, it's not so much about self-distributing statewide. That's really hard for a craft brewer to do, as you probably know. But really just having more control over your business and your business's growth. Well, what I hate to say is that didn't go down as well as we would have liked. I'm sure as well as North Carolina would have liked. But Craft Freedom North Carolina, which has a Facebook page. You can look them up at Craft Freedom NC. And they said today, they had a post that said, Friends of Craft Freedom, we are disappointed with the outcome of today's ABC committee meeting. The barrel cap and franchise reforms were stripped from the HB 500 before the vote to pass it. But our fight continues. We are especially disappointed that some members of the General Assembly would side with an established foreign beer distribution cartel that has a long history of backroom political deal-making. It appears that backroom political pressure is more important than public opinion or fighting for North Carolina small businesses. So they went on to discuss a little bit more about what happened in this meeting, but essentially things were changed before it actually made the vote. So they have to get back into the fight and see how important this is for them. As you know, self-distribution is a big deal. Anybody that owns a brewery in a state that has self-distribution rights knows that it's a great opportunity for the businesses themselves. But that's kind of what went down this week. It wasn't good. We wish all the best for our friends down in North Carolina, and we hope that they can get back on their feet as quickly as possible. So, like I said, moving on to CBC, Craft Brewers Conference this year. It was, if you were there, you're probably still tired. If you were a supplier there, you're probably still exhausted. We flew out last Monday night. I know some people, especially on the supplier side, were flying out the Thursday before that even. But we got in on Monday night. We went to the Sierra Nevada Beer Camp kickoff. That was a lot of fun. Bumped into Jamie Floyd, which I'll talk about him a little bit more in this episode. But just said hi quickly. We stayed there for a little while, then really tried to get our bearings that night from late flights for a couple of us, and then hit the trade show floor and seminars Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we all flew out early Thursday morning. So my thoughts on this year's Craft Brewers Conference compared to last year's. Some of the conversations we had last year in Philadelphia were more focused on the seminar side. The trade show was huge, even bigger than it was the year prior in Portland. But really, what I think some of the brewers felt was lacking was more of a upper level seminar track. So, your brewers that are, approaching that 5-year mark that are trying to figure out, okay, so what do we do from, year 5 to get us to year 10? We've got these brewers that have been around for 20 or 30 years, but, since we've had this huge craft movement, where do we go? Where did these people go, and how did they learn? I will say this year, and the seminars that I got to sit in on, I think BA really upped their game this year. The seminars were fantastic. The ones that I sat in on were, really, really good in terms of a brewer's perspective, but also from an owner's perspective and an operational perspective, helping you save time, money, and an understanding of brewhouse operations, as well as, just staying in line with TTB and the federal government. With those, I thought that was fantastic. Our editor, John Seacott, got a lot of content, which you'll be able to find at our website over the next couple of weeks. In terms of the trade show and the exhibitors, my legs are still sore. I consider myself in relatively decent shape, but walking that trade show so much, got to see a lot of really cool new segments of the market. We got to see, there's a lot of, building infrastructure within software development, which from other industries, that's a big deal already. I think that just, really further shows the investment in craft, where it's growing, the new opportunities, just getting a better grip on your business. There was a lot of great equipment. Canning seems to still be a really big deal. Packaging, of course, is a big deal. Your merchandise is a big deal. All of those things. Just like in Philly, they had 2 exhibit halls, which were cool. They did better this year than in Philly. Actually, I remember in Philly I couldn't find the second exhibit hall. Typically, I'm pretty good with directions and maps, but what I found trying to figure out what was going on in Philly was just constantly turning in circles and getting lost. The convention center in DC was fantastic. It was really easy to find your way to the second exhibit hall. From what I talked to with some of our guys over at SS Brewtech, they liked their location in the second exhibit hall. If you were there, you could see their advertising all the way up into the second exhibit hall. So it was pretty easy to know where you were trying to go and how to get there. They had a really good option for lunch this year. The lines got a little long, but other than that, when you're going to get a $15 lunch for free, you can't complain too much. The exhibit hall themselves with the 1 and 2, I don't know if, it's going to be hard to find an exhibit or a convention center big enough to hold everyone. And I don't know if that'll be resolved next year in Nashville. I think this is going to be something that continues to grow. I think that second exhibit hall will just get bigger and bigger. This year they had a lot of events in the second exhibit hall, so it drew people in to that location, which is good for the suppliers that were there. In terms of DC, I was really kind of not looking forward to going to DC. I think of DC as a large metropolis of, a lot of people, a lot of traffic, an inability to get around. What I found was, extremely surprised. It was really easy to get an Uber, taxi, whatever you needed, and get from point A to point B pretty quick. We got to go check out, a couple of events at night from Deschutes and some others. But there was, it was just really, really a lot of fun all around. We got a lot of content. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of stories on our website. If I had one big takeaway, it would I would revert back to what I said about Brewers Association and the seminar tracks. They did a better job this year than they had in Philly. I didn't really get to ask any of, the brewers or my friends that were there about what their thoughts were, but what I got to sit on, I really enjoyed. I thought it was beneficial. I thought it was helpful. But if you let us know what you thought, of course, we like to help Brewers Association out as much as possible because they help everyone in this industry out a lot. So in your comments, if you had any questions or thoughts, please leave those at the bottom and let us know, or possibly let them know what you'd like to see more of. Like I said, next year's Nashville, so that'll be unique. It's right in my backyard a little bit, so I'm looking forward to possibly a quick little drive, going down and checking everything out, feeling more comfortable and close to home. But hope to see everybody there, and that'll be a lot of fun. I guarantee it'll be a lot of fun. So lastly, like I said, I wanted to mention Jamie Floyd because this was a huge takeaway for me. When I did the interview with Jamie Floyd last year in October out in Eugene, one thing that he said to me that resonated a lot was his devotion to brewing. And it's not just devotion to brewing in terms of, spending a lot of time in considering what you're, considering how you brew and your recipes and, just getting more involved in the craft, but also on an education side. Jamie said that he had spent a lot of time reading a lot of the material that, you would read in brew school to kind of help you, through the tracks and, become a better brewer. So I really took that to heart, that he had spent so much time really thinking about what it meant to be a brewer, what it meant to be an educated brewer. So with that, I started to really dive deep into educating myself even more. Of course, spent a lot of time brewing myself, but there's so many different aspects of the industry that I think are very important. So like I said, one of the first things that I jumped into and wanted a better understanding of was yeast, yeast management, the utilization of yeast, being a living, breathing piece to the fermentation puzzle. It's paramount to everything we do. So I jumped in. I got the Yeast Practical Guide to Beer Fermentation by Chris White and Jamil Zainashev. Chris White, as you know, is the founder of White Labs. Um, Basically, what this book, I flew through it. To be honest with you, I tried to really take my time and eat it up and get everything out of it that I possibly could. But what I really just I found myself just devoted to this book. Flew through it within a week or so. Got a lot of highlighted pieces. What I really wanted to understand more of was capturing your yeast, reusing yeast. I think it's really interesting. The older breweries, they end up having yeast strains that they've used and used and used for a long period of time. And I really kind of dove into those chapters. For anybody that I know, a lot of you are big time brewers. I know a lot of you all have been in the industry for a while. But I know there's some of you that are constantly just using and reusing, constantly using new yeast as opposed to reusing yeast. And I'd press you to pick up this book. Like I said, it was written really well. Chris was was really some brains behind it, but Jamil was a fantastic resource that understood brewing and is a fantastic writer. So when they put pen to paper, they succeeded very well. There's some insights from Mitch Steele from when he was at Stone. It was back in 2010 is when it was copyrighted. So many of you probably already read it. Really, I just wanted to dive deeper. And I think I want to challenge everyone to just spend more time diving deeper into the education of our industry. We're doing everything we can from a magazine standpoint to dive deep and provide you countless bits of information for bettering your business. But I think it's important that you spend time understanding your business, understanding the ins and outs of your business, understanding how to become better brewers, how to become better business people, and all of which are very difficult. They're very straining. They're very difficult on your mind, on your body. One of the things that that kind of led me into was thinking about how important it is to take care of yourself. Business is hard. It's hard to constantly perform every single day and develop something that's great every single day. There's a lot of pressure there. There's pressure from your business, from your business partners, from investors, from your city, your county, the people that are around you. No matter how big you are or how little you are, there are people that love you and rely on your business. And it's important for you to take care of yourself, and so you can stay focused. And so you don't have that wear and tear on the day-to-day business. That's really hard to do. We all just have our good days and our bad days, but you got to stay strong and stay focused. And hope you guys can keep pushing, keep working. This craft industry is just going to grow bigger and bigger. As brewers, you're going to have more fun, more success, and just keep fighting the good fight. Really, it's going to be it's not always going to be easy, but as long as you invest in your knowledge, invest in yourself, better your business in any way possible, you'll always get there. So, anyways, hope you all enjoyed this blog. We're going to keep doing better, I promise. Won't be happening quick, but we'll get better each time. Promise. Cheers.